Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and I've managed to snag one of the busiest chairman and CEOs at the ASX at the moment, Luke Reinehr. He is, as I just said, chairman and CEO of Kalamazoo Resources. ASX code is KZR. Now, why am I happy to have him here? Because I want you guys to understand what they've just done. It's just interesting, and I've got to get my head around it to allow you guys to get your head around it. Is they've spun off their lithium assets to primarily focus on their gold assets. So today, I want to find out from Luke the strategy, what's in it for shareholders, and what it's going to look like going forward. So Luke, thanks so much for your time. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Kerry, and look, thanks very much for the invite. Now, look, it's been a very, very busy couple of weeks, and most people think these announcements just come out. We've actually been working on this transaction for about 7 or 8 months now. So there's been a lot of work behind it. But as you said, what we've managed to do is we're spinning out our lithium assets with another company, a company called Karora Resources, which is listed in Canada. Now, it's a gold company that runs or owns the Higginsville Gold Project south of Kalgoorlie.
Ah, okay, got it.
Beta Hunt, etc. So I think it's producing somewhere about 170,000 ounces a year. Okay. And a very large land holding of about 1,600 square kilometres in that area. Uh-huh. But it's a really highly sought after area for lithium as well. And the reason being is that there are a number of major lithium mines surrounding it, including a number of lithium deposits as well. And we're talking about Mount Marion to the north. You've got Bald Hill to the east, Pioneer as well, Essential Metals. So there's a lot of interest. And
Liontown, Luke, Liontown are there, and they've been very in the news.
Absolutely. So lots happening in that space, obviously, as well. So this is great ground. But what we thought we'd do, Kerry, and this has been our strategy, is that if we could combine Kalamazoo's existing lithium assets, and they're primarily in the Pilbara, where we have a joint venture with SQM over our Doms Hill and Marble Bar projects. And that's a couple of 100 square kilometres. And we've been into that JV now for about 18 months, and it's going extremely well. So what we've done is we've agreed with Karora that we're going to merge that ground and also our East Coast lithium exploration ground, which is at the southern end of the Lachlan Fold Belt. 2 projects there called Jingellic and Tallangatta. Now, it's a very early mover in that area, but the interesting thing is there's a lot of historical tin and tantalum and tungsten mines in that area, and that's often a pathfinder to lithium. So it is a greenfields opportunity for us, but we think it's very interesting. And actually, there's another company to the south of that called Dart Mining, which has got the Dorchap lithium project. So we know we're in the right area. So what we've agreed to do is we're going to combine these 3 areas together, being the Pilbara, the Lachlan Fold Belt, but also the Higginsville ground, into a new company called Cali Metals. And it's going to list on the ASX in September this year. At this point of time, pre-IPO raise, Kalamazoo has 55% of Cali Metals and Karora has 45%. Obviously, that will dilute once we raise our IPO proceeds, which we think is going to be in the order of $10 to $12 million. We're not going to go for a big raise at this point of time. And partly the reason for that is that all our Pilbara ground is actually being paid for. The exploration is being paid for by SQM. So we're not having to fund that. It's basically primarily the Higginsville ground and also the Lachlan Fold Belt. So look, we think this is a terrific opportunity for our shareholders, Kerry. We think we've pieced together the unrivaled exploration tenure now in Australia, and it's up to us now to go and explore it as best we can.
Okay, I really want to unpack this because there's a little bit to unpack here, Luke, if you wouldn't mind. Sure. So first of all, when I last spoke to you, because I was speaking to Paul and most recently, but the last time you and I spoke, we did talk about the SQM deal and them coming in. I'm just saying to myself, well, if you've got SQM funding Doms Hill and Marble Bar up in the Pilbara, why would you need to do this deal with Karora to create Cali Metals? So what's the rationale?
Yeah, well, it's really for the benefit of our shareholders. I think we've seen, some of the success of the junior lithium explorers. You get some good intersections. and the value that can unlock can be very, very significant. So we think it's the best thing for our shareholders. Look, it's great having a relationship with SQM because they bring, undoubted experience, financial capability, processing capability to this entity. So that's really important. And look, if we were to find a major project in Higginsville, well, what a great opportunity to have a discussion with SQM about potentially development. But having said that, there are a lot of big lithium players now in this area and across Australia who are all looking for very extensive lithium potential, and we think that's what we've got now. So we just don't want to restrict ourselves going forward. We want the optionality to see, well, what's best for our shareholders.
Okay.
And in that regard, Kerry, just to make it clear as to what we're doing as well, and that is Kalamazoo. At the IPO, we're distributing 25% of our shares in Cali Metals directly to our shareholders.
Oh.
We're doing what they call an in-specie distribution. So any shareholders out there, Kalamazoo shareholders, come September, will also then get Cali shares. And then, of course, the balance of our shares, look, maybe down the track, we'll distribute them to shareholders as well. So in effect, it's kind of like a dividend, which we think is very beneficial for our shareholders. And that's what we're planning to do.
How do you come up with those numbers? I'm just kind of sitting here looking at you, Luke, going, how do you come up with the 55-45? And then how do you come up with the 25 for shareholders? Just curious.
A lot of negotiation there, Kerry. But more importantly, it's a lot of goodwill as well. And look, the relationship with Karora has been fantastic. And to put that in perspective, they're a gold company. They're based in Toronto. They haven't been looking at lithium exploration. And we met them through some other parties. And look, the rapport straight away has been fantastic. And just to give you the background then as to how the board is going to look, there are two directors from Kalamazoo, being Paul Adams, who one of our executive directors. Paul's joining the board. I'm on the board. I'm non-executive chairman. Karora have appointed Graham Sloan, who was previously managing director of Karora. Graham is managing director of Cali, and then John Leddy, who's one of Karora's directors in Toronto. He's joining the board as well. But interestingly, we have a fifth director who's joined us as a non-executive director, and that's a guy called Simon Coyle. Now, Simon is currently operations manager for Pilbara Minerals. So he's a very good addition to our board, and we're very much looking forward to working with Simon.
I just want to go back, if you wouldn't mind, to Higginsville, because, by the way, that's a strong board. But Higginsville has got, if you look at that area, it's kind of like, if I can say it this way, hot for lithium.
Yep.
What's happening with that at the moment? Because Karora owned the Higginsville plant.
Yep.
What ground have you got? What's that going to be looking like? And is that going to be first cab off the rank?
Well, this whole area, look, it'll be a key focus for us because currently we're obviously exploring up in the Pilbara and quite extensively. And just on that, we're about to roll out a 10 to 12,000 metre air core program at Domsville and perhaps across Marble Bar. We expect that to start the next couple of months.
But again, sorry to interrupt you, Luke, but that is completely funded by SQM.
Sole funded by SQM.
Okay. Yep.
But at Higginsville, so therefore you'd expect that over the next 12 or 18 months, most of the money that Cali raises in its IPO will be spent towards Higginsville. It makes sense. Higginsville, as I mentioned before, is across about 1,600 square kilometres. Mm-hmm. And as you can imagine, it's just south of Kalgoorlie, between Norseman and Kalgoorlie. Big area, lots of lithium deposits and a couple of mines surrounding it as well. So there's been a lot of historical drilling, but there's one interesting statistic that kind of stands out in my mind, Kerry, in regard to that, and that is there's over 600 drill intersections of more than 10 metres down hole that have hit pegmatites, 10 metres of pegmatites, that have never been assayed for lithium or associated data. So, these are some great opportunities for us to immediately go back and either re-drill or look at the opportunity. So we think the potential is significant. As I mentioned, we've been working on this project for 7 months, so we've actually done a fair bit of exploration work and target work on that. And we're putting together our drill targets and drill program as we speak. And I'm actually back in Perth next week, just finalising that so that come IPO, hopefully we've got some drill rigs turning at that time. So there'll be good news flow coming out at the time of IPO.
Yeah, because I'm speaking to, it's ridiculous, Luke. I cannot believe we're in May 2023, but here we are sitting here. I just want to understand, what's SQM feel about all this? Because you went into a JV, not on all of your lithium assets, but on the Pilbara assets with SQM, yep. And they're funding all of those. So yep. Where did they sit with Cali Metals, or are they, like, how does it all work?
Yeah, of course. SQM have been very supportive, and they were very happy and agreed for us to put the Kalamazoo Pilbara exploration JV into Cali Metals. So they're very keen for that to happen. And look, they're very supportive of us and are, very interested in what we're doing with these other projects. As you'd appreciate, SQM, they're in 50-50 with Wesfarmers on the Mount Holland project, and they're building a very large processing plant. So these, there's 4 or 5 majors out there, Kerry, who are all looking for lithium deposits. So whether it be SQM, obviously is the first start, or any of the other majors, if we were to be lucky enough and fortunate enough to get to discover a lithium deposit, well, I think we're really well placed then to take it to the next stage. And I think that's a critical thing about this, Kerry, is it's one thing finding a lithium deposit. You then got to actually be able to fund the development of it and the processing. And we're seeing these plants are costing billions of dollars. So it's one thing for a little junior to find something, but the next obvious question is, well, where do you go?
Got to fund it.
Exactly right.
You've actually spoken a bit about Doms Hill, Marble Bar, Higginsville. Yep. Is anything, because you've also got the 2 projects over in Victoria, that's Gingelic and I can't pronounce the other one, it begins with T, Tallangatta, I think.
Tallangatta.
Thank you. But are they just going to sit on the sidelines for the moment, or is this work going to be done in this new JV?
Again, over the last 6 or 7 months since they've been approved, we've actually been out there. So, we've got high hopes for these areas. As I mentioned, they're greenfields, but we certainly want to be drilling there in the next 12 or 18 months. And so we've been doing a lot of community work, working through obviously landowners and government departments in regard to this exploration. But look, it's a key focus. And that's an interesting dynamic too, Kerry, as to how we're going to manage this, because we've got the East Coast and the West Coast. Yep. As you know, I'm Melbourne-based, and we've got an exploration team here. So we'll put on another geo here in Victoria just for these projects. But, that'll be probably in our Kalamazoo office here in Melbourne. So, and this is one of the reasons, people say, well, why have we spun it out? Yeah. This is one of the reasons is that, we wanted to give the right focus to not just to the lithium, but also to Kalamazoo's gold assets. And so you've got to resource that properly. You've got to have the right people, and they've got to be singly focused. And because people were often asking, and I know you had many times in some of our meetings once we started getting some lithium, is, well, are you a gold company or are you a lithium company?
I did, yes, exactly.
And so we've now made that decision that Kalamazoo's a gold company, and Cali Metals is a lithium company.
It's interesting, Luke, because some gold companies have spun off and they've become lithium companies, but you've said, no, Kalamazoo will stay. And you know me, I'm that gold lady. So it warms my heart that Kalamazoo will be a gold company. But it's interesting that you decided to go down this route. I think we've got enough time to explain what is Kalamazoo going to be doing with its gold assets.
Absolutely. So, look, the key project, or the big one and the most advanced one, of course, is the Ashburton project. We put out a revised resource for that, I think it was in February this year. The grade went up, I think, 10%. It's now 1.44 million ounces at 2.8 grams a tonne. But more importantly, the indicated resources has gone up significantly, and the amount of resource in one deposit, being the Mount Olympus deposit, is now, I think, 75%, or something like those numbers. So it's becoming a much more robust operation. So then what we've also been doing is we've been doing, scoping work in the background, been doing metallurgy, and also we're looking at development options, and we're talking to people about where we take this next, and that now can enable myself and Paul Adams and others to really make that our key focus going forward.
It is your key focus. Sorry to interrupt you. It is your key focus, but there'll be a lot to do between, I suspect, now and this Cali Metals IPO.
Yep.
Does that take your eye a little bit off the ball?
Oh, look, yeah, there is a lot of work, but that's one of the reasons why we've put an expanded board in. We've appointed some new people in regard to the administration, CFO, and a corporate counsel, etc. Putting on some new geos. But I guess in regard to the gold as well, we've put on 2 new geos or geologists here in Melbourne just in the last couple of months.
Okay.
That's for our Mount Piper gold project and also Castlemaine and South Muckleford. So there's been a fair bit of work happening there as well. And of course, then we've got our Melina West project along strike from De Grey. And so there's a lot happening. And
there's a lot happening, Luke. I'm just sitting there going.
But I think we're becoming more focused, though, Kerry, and that's probably the key. And to do that, of course, you need the resources, and it's not just financial; it's also human resources, and that's what we've managed to put together over the last 6 or 7 months.
How's the market reacted to all of this news? Because it's good news. It's interesting, but you've got to get your head around. There's SQM here, and then there's Cali Metals over here, and then you've got Kalamazoo here. It's good. How's the market reaction been?
Yeah, what we've done as well, interestingly, normally when you put an IPO together, the first thing you do is you'd appoint brokers. We haven't gone down that path. We have got a corporate advisor. We've now speaking to brokers now because we wanted to structure this transaction and this IPO that was the best for our shareholders. And so having only just appointed brokers now, what that means is we really haven't had the opportunity to promote Cali Metals yet. We only announced it a couple of days ago. Okay. So now we're doing that. Look, our share price is up, I think 10% or something. Interestingly, Karora's share price, it was up about 5 or 6%, but they've got a market cap of about 900 million in Canada. So that was a nice little uplift for them, and they were very pleased, and we were very pleased for them as well.
All right. So we talked about Cali Metals early September, well, sometime in September, it will be on the ASX. Have you got a code for it yet?
Yes, at this point in time, KM1.
KM1. Yes. All right. Note that, ladies and gentlemen, KM1. If people want to find out more and they're not shareholders of Kalamazoo, silly you. By the way, this is not financial research. Do your own research. But if they want to get some more information, what's the best way for them to go about it?
Yeah, at this point in time, I would suggest they go to Kalamazoo's website. Yep. We put out an announcement on Monday, I think it was, and also a presentation that gives details of what we're doing, sets out the timeline, sets out what we're our in-specie distribution or share distribution to our shareholders. But the other thing too in that regard is we also intend to give a priority allocation to Kalamazoo shareholders if they wanted to invest in the IPO. So again, Kerry, we're just trying to look after our shareholders in what has been a pretty tough market for gold stocks. Even though, believe it or not, we've got a gold price over 3,000 Aussie, the share price of the goldies are probably down 50 or 60% over the last 12 months. So
Let's okay. You know what? They just take a while. I think the market just takes a little while. And again, this is not financial advice, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what? That gold price is getting stronger. The world's getting a little bit crazier. I think now's a really interesting time to be having a good, hard look. And I suspect that's potentially why Luke Reinehr, as chairman and CEO, said, let's focus on the gold, but give the value of the lithium to our shareholders. Would that be... I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
well summed up, Kerry. I think that was very good. Thank you.
All right. Let's sum it all up now, if you wouldn't mind, Luke, because I think it's very clever what you've done. But you know what I'm like? I want to wrap it all up in a bow and give us 3 reasons why people should be sitting up looking at Kalamazoo and Cali Metals, really.
Yeah. Well, I think we've put together an unrivaled exploration package for lithium with Cali Metals, Kerry. But Karora's ground, great people, great resources, with Kalamazoo, who have been into exploration for lithium for a while now. We've got a great relationship with SQM. The reaction's been good. We're well funded. So that enables us to give Cali Metals, to send it off on its own way. And then Kalamazoo, of course, means we can continue to focus on our advanced Ashburton gold project, but also our Victorian gold assets, which we really haven't touched upon, but which we think are still extremely prospective. So I think they're great reasons. And probably the third one is, again, we're always trying to look after our shareholders, and that's why rather than keeping Cali Metals and the shareholding within Kalamazoo, it's our intention to actually distribute it to our shareholders so that they can also share in the upside.
Good on you, Luke. I think that's, for those of you that are Kalamazoo shareholders, that I think is not only fair, I think it's a really, it's a great outcome for shareholders. There's going to be a lot of news coming forward. I think we might need to get you back very soon because as you said, we didn't have enough time today to touch on the Victorian gold assets, but I think that there's some interesting things happening there. So maybe we'll just have to bring you back and let's talk gold next time. But for the moment, it's all about lithium. It's about this new IPO, Cali Metals, happening in September. If you want to find out more, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to go to kzr.com.au. That's the Kalamazoo website, kzr.com.au. As I said right at the start, Luke is the chairman and CEO, and the ASX code is KZR. Congratulations, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining me on Small Caps.
Thanks, Gary. Bye.